welcome to episode 10 of the Good Grief Believer podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today to listen in while my 6 siblings and I discuss our thoughts regarding our shared loss. Steve's passing was significant for our large family because he's the first one in our generation to have passed away. Our parents and our children are all still living as well. My faith in God and my relationship to my siblings were among the most important aspects of my grief journey. I will be forever grateful that when I needed them most, I already had a good, solid relationship with each of my brothers and sisters. That wasn't always the case. With 7 of us, I can absolutely attest that we were at times each other's worst nightmares. Our mother would sometimes be so frustrated with us when we were young. She told us that when we were grown-ups, all we would have is each other. But it took some time for us to truly appreciate each other. My brother Aaron expressed very well how Steve's passing affected him. He said, "I have begun to think about the future in terms of generations, not in terms of tomorrow or next year. I'm 58 years old. My thoughts now are no longer about my career or my own individual future. Everything I'm thinking about is, what kind of foundation do I build for my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren? What things do I put in place that will help people that I won't meet in this life?" These are significant questions and worth thinking about in advance of what I call a bridegroom moment. I've spoken a lot about my own bridegroom moment. This comes from one of Jesus' parables in Matthew 25. In this parable, Jesus describes the fate of 10 young maidens who are set to attend a wedding that should have begun sometime around sunset, in which the bridegroom and his family would walk from their house to the home of the bride, then on to the wedding venue. The maidens' lamps would provide lighting for the wedding party along this path, but the bridegroom was delayed and the lamps burned out. While 5 of the maidens relit their lamps from their oil reserve, the 5 who hadn't brought extra oil with them missed the bridegroom because they had run to the market to purchase oil for their extinguished lamps. They missed the celebration because they didn't have oil in their lamps when they needed it most. The message is meant to be symbolic. The drops of spiritual oil that we have gathered are of greatest value when we experience the most difficult events. This is what I mean when I talk about my bridegroom moment. Each of us will have experiences when our lamp is burned out. One way to imagine this reserve oil is by having faith in something greater than us and having meaningful relationships. Faith and relationships are not something that usually occur in an instant. Both are carefully cultivated over time. The paradox is that what we need most, we sometimes value least. The words of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama are printed on a small tapestry in my home. It's entitled "The Paradox of Our Age." He says, "We have bigger houses, but smaller families. More conveniences, but less time. We have more degrees, but less sense. More knowledge, but less judgment. More experts, but more problems. More medicines, but less healthiness. We've been all the way to the moon and back, but have trouble crossing the street to meet the new neighbor. We have become long on quantity, but short on quality. These are times of fast foods, but slow digestion. Tall men, but short character. Steep profits, but shallow relationships. It's a time when there is much in the window, but nothing in the room." When we experience devastating loss and grief, loving family relationships can be an amazing source of empathy and companionship. I know that isn't always possible, but it's worth considering whether a family relationship can be salvaged now, knowing that at some point, life will bring its inevitable trials. As young adults especially, there were some very difficult mistakes and misunderstandings my siblings and I had to navigate. I'm so grateful that we have all chosen to forgive each other and prioritize time together. We don't agree on everything, and sometimes we hurt each other's feelings. But we love and respect each other, and this has helped me to grieve well.